Following violence over the weekend between the Israelis and the Palestinians, right-wingers, including Katrina Pierson, felt the need to spread all sorts of propaganda and misinformation about what was really going on. In fact, she had tweeted the following: 650 rockets being fired into Israel from Gaza in an attempt to overwhelm Israel's Iron Dome, 173 intercepts, 4 people killed, and 28 wounded. What is Ilhan Omar? Or what is her response to this violence? Will she condemn it? Okay, so that was the text of the tweet, and she also included a video, and this is the video that she included. Let's take a look. So, I mean, that's compelling video, right?
Yeah.
Or at least it would be compelling if it were video used in the right context, because that was video from 2015 in Ukraine. Yeah. It wasn't from the weekend.
It wasn't from like the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, the Battle of Hoth, like the AT-AT walkers coming in. You know, that was the original tweet.
Well, she said she posted it because she thought that Americans didn't know what rocket launching looked like, so they needed that as context.
That
was her.
I have her response. I'm going to read you verbatim what she had responded, but. Of course, it was a fake video, and I want to give credit to all the people on Twitter who called her out on it. One of those people was Ben Norton, and he wrote, "Wow, it's a crazy video from Ukraine. Nice try, Trump spokesperson." So then she responds, because Ben Norton wasn't the only person. I mean, it was like a flood of people calling her out, and she said, 700 rockets now, and no, I'm not their geniuses. The video is used as a GIF to underscore what hundreds of rockets would look like to Americans.
Yeah, it was just a meme, guys. Don't you get it? This is like, you know, this is how the kids share information these days. They do the memes with the text and the thing, and then the GIFs of like, you know, like Beyonce going like, oh my God. You know, like that's what it was. That's exactly what that was.
It's a celebrity rocket.
Yeah, you know, like, yeah.
The original tweet is still there.
Yeah.
And this is par for the course. I mean, this is what you can expect from the right wing. And the end of that tweet, she mentions Ilhan Omar again. And that's what I really want to talk about. Because something like this happens, and immediately from the right wing and members of establishment media want to know what Representative Omar and what Representative Tlaib have to say about it. What do the two Muslim members of Congress have to say about this?
Yeah.
First of all, what does anyone have to say about it? Why is it that we immediately jump to Representative Omar? Are you trying to imply that Representative Omar thinks that violence against Israel is okay? Because she's never said that once. She has the audacity to bring up the treatment of Palestinians, which is, you know, legitimate. Her concern is legitimate. And immediately everyone jumps down her throat.
It's absolutely breathtaking to me that this year alone, there have been 2 mass shootings at synagogues targeting American Jews at the hands of right-wing nationalists in this country, right-wing white nationalists in this country, and they're still obsessed with insisting upon the fact that anti-Semitism is a thing of the left and of Ilhan Omar specifically. You know, where there's been actual violence perpetrated against American Jews in this country from the right wing, and that just doesn't
even more damaging. They're trying to link some of her old tweets to motivating those mass shootings at synagogues, which clearly have no relationship because they were white supremacists who did those violent acts. And so that's what's really disingenuous about this. Do you have Ilhan's tweet?
Yeah, I do. So let's actually take a look at what Representative Omar and Representative Tlaib had to say about the violence over the weekend. Omar writes, how many more protesters must be shot, rockets must be fired, and little kids must be killed until the endless cycle of violence ends? The status quo of occupation and humanitarian crisis in Gaza is unsustainable. Only real justice can bring about security and lasting peace. That was
a mainstream position like 15 years ago. That was like the most utterly mainstream thing to say.
Absolutely, and look, she's concerned with ending cycles of violence. She's concerned with peace.
And she mentions the rockets.
Right. But what they would probably attack her for, knowing how the right wing reacts to people like Ilhan Omar, is her use of occupation, the word occupation, the status quo of occupation, because she's framing the situation as one that they probably wouldn't jive with. And then the other thing is that her and Rashida Tlaib frequently talk about settlements being a barrier to peace. And they are not down with that either. And so they are narrating it as violence. And in this moment, I very much think about what Malcolm X is popularized for saying. This is December 1964. He said that the press is so powerful in its image-making role, and here we can just think about the right wing in this case on Twitter. It can make the criminal look like he's the victim and the victim look like he's the criminal.
Wow. I mean, that definitely applies to this situation.
If there isn't a serious attack on Omar or Tlaib's life, like within the next 5 years, like I'll be absolutely shocked. Like at this point, like with the president and his tweets about Omar and what like the entire, I mean, in many ways, the way the liberals have kind of provided cover for the criticisms of Omar, I mean, they're just creating a situation in which something bad is going to happen, and it's absolutely shocking.
And listen, there are other Muslim members of Congress, but they don't receive this kind of hate because they're not women of color. They're not women of color who refuse to step down after they've taken a position. And like Ilhan Omar has said, I didn't get elected to Congress to be silent. I got there because my constituency believes in what I'm arguing for on their behalf.
Right, exactly.
So they knew who they elected, and I like the consistent attacks on her and Rashida Tlaib are just there. I have no words.
What I want to understand is why it's offensive to refer to the occupation as an occupation. Because it's accurate
it's one of
and
those,
it's truthful.
Like, words have no meaning thing anymore. You know, like, you know, what's going on in Venezuela is not a coup. What's going on in Gaza is not an occupation. It's just like we can just change the meaning of words when it's like, I mean, I've been to the border of the Gaza Strip before, and it's like, you know, that doesn't look like a free, open society. It looks like an open air prison, like you said.
Well, because when you use terms like occupation, it is a violation of international law. You know, Amnesty International has called the blockade on Gaza an illegal blockade. And I think that's the thing that they're up against, which is that these international organizations have laws that aren't necessarily enforceable, but they are globally damning.
On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.